Hello, everyone, and welcome to Screams from the Vault. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight, we're traveling back to the fog-drenched streets of Victorian England to uncover the story of one of history's most chilling figures. A woman who turned motherhood into murder. A nurse who became a nightmare. This is the horrifying case of Amelia Dyer, the Ogress of Reading. So sit back and let's open the case file. A childhood in the shadows. The year was 1838. Amelia Dyer was born in the quiet village of Pilemarsh, just outside Bristol, a peaceful place on the River Severn, far removed from the dark legend she would become. She was the youngest child of Samuel and Sarah Hobley, a shoemaker's daughter who loved books and poetry, but her childhood innocence didn't last long. When Amelia was still a girl, her mother fell victim to typhus. It wasn't a quiet illness. It came with madness, convulsions, screams, fits of rage, and Amelia was the one who had to care for her. She watched her mother deteriorate, watched her mind twist and break, until finally, in 1848, her mother died. Something changed in Amelia that year. Something inside her went cold. She moved to Bristol, lived with her aunt, and worked as a corset maker. When her father died, she was left alone, adrift. In 1861, at just 24, she married George Thomas, a man 35 years older. They lied about their ages on the marriage certificate to make it seem less scandalous. He said he was younger. She said she was older. They both lied, but it wouldn't be their last deception. Through her husband, Amelia trained as a nurse, a respectable, trusted job. But nursing was hard work, and Amelia wanted something easier, something more profitable. That's when she met Ellen Dane, a midwife with a terrible secret. Ellen introduced Amelia to a dark trade that thrived in the shadows of Victorian morality: baby farming. It was a cruel business. Unmarried women, shamed by society, paid people like Amelia to care for their newborns in secret. Some were adopted, most were not. For the wealthy, the price might be £80, a fortune in those days, to make a baby disappear quietly. For the poor, as little as £10 bought the same outcome. Many of these babies were neglected, starved, or drugged into silence with opium-laced syrup known as mother's friend. It made them sleep, and then it made them stop eating, and then they simply faded away. When Amelia's husband George died in 1869, she was left desperate and alone, so she turned full-time to baby farming. But soon, even neglect wasn't enough for her. Why wait for a baby to die when you could make it happen instantly and keep all the money? Amelia began murdering the infants she took in. No more doctors, no more certificates, just silence. Her crimes went unnoticed for years. She was clever, always moving from town to town, always using new names. In 1879, a doctor grew suspicious about the number of infant deaths under her care. But instead of being convicted of murder, she was sentenced to just 6 months hard labor for neglect. When she got out, she pretended to suffer from insanity, even admitting herself into asylums whenever the heat grew too close. She knew how to act, how to fake the trembling hands, the empty stare. And then, as soon as it was safe, she returned to her trade, the baby business, the business of death. By 1890, Amelia was addicted to alcohol and opium.
she was also unstoppable. Her method was simple and horrifyingly efficient. She would advertise in newspapers as a kind, childless woman longing to adopt a baby. The mothers, desperate and ashamed, would hand over their newborns along with a payment. And as soon as the door closed behind them, Amelia would take a length of white tape, wrap it twice around the baby's neck, and pull. When questioned later, she would say coldly, "You could tell it was mine. I always used white tape."
In 1896, Amelia moved to Reading, accompanied by her daughter Polly and an elderly accomplice she called Mother Smith. That March, a young woman named Evelina Marmon gave birth to an illegitimate daughter, baby Doris. Evelina wanted her child to have a better life, and so she placed an advertisement in the paper seeking adoption. Next to her ad was one placed by Mrs. Harding, one of Amelia's many aliases. Her message read, "Married couple with no family would adopt healthy child. Nice country home. Terms, £10. Desperate and trusting, Evelina handed over her daughter, along with the fee and a small box of clothes. She wept as Amelia carried little Doris away. Within hours, the baby was dead, strangled with white tape. The very next day, Amelia killed another child, Harry Simmons, using the same piece of tape. She wrapped both tiny bodies in a carpet bag, weighed it down with bricks, and threw it into the River Thames. But the river didn't keep her secret. On March 30th, 1896, a bargeman spotted a suspicious parcel floating in the water. Inside was the body of a baby girl. The wrapping paper carried a faint, water-blurred name, Mrs. Thomas. Police traced the name to Amelia Dyer and began watching her every move. They sent a young woman undercover to arrange a meeting for another adoption. When Amelia opened the door, the officers were already there. Inside the house, the stench of death was unmistakable. No bodies, but everywhere evidence. Telegrams, baby clothes, adoption letters, pawn tickets, and the familiar white tape. When the Thames was dredged, 6 more bodies surfaced, including little Doris Marmon and Harry Simmons. Amelia Dyer was arrested on April 4th, 1896. She confessed to one murder, but hinted at many more. Some believe she killed over 400 infants, making her one of the most prolific serial killers in history. At her trial, the jury took just 4.5 minutes to find her guilty. Her only defense was insanity, but even the court saw through her act. On June 10th, 1896, Amelia Dyer was hanged at Newgate Prison. When asked for final words, she simply said, "I have nothing to say." They say she left behind 5 notebooks filled with her last true confession. No one knows if they told the full story. But the river does. And so ends the tale of Amelia Dyer, the nurse who nursed death, the mother who murdered innocence. She turned mercy into money, love into murder. And for decades, her crimes drifted quietly beneath the surface of Victorian respectability, like bodies beneath the Thames. Thank you for watching tonight's case here on Screens from the Vault. If you enjoyed this descent into darkness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon because next time, we'll open another file from the vault. Until then, sleep well.